What's up, everyone? It's Duncan from the Sci Squad podcast here. I've just been bored at home in quarantine like the rest of America, basically. And so I decided that I was going to go through our episodes and withdraw all our pick a prospect segments from each episode and compile them here into this extra episode here. So I'm going to call it Bonus Pick a Prospect. That's probably why you clicked on it. Bonus. Wait, what? So this is all just stuff from our previous shows, just all compiled together in one nice little spot. So if somebody doesn't necessarily have the time to listen to each one of our shows, all 6 weeks that we've done Pick a Prospect, it's all here. So it's just kind of close, especially with the draft coming here next week. I just thought it'd be something beneficial for anyone that just wanted to listen and needed something to do. Also, if you already did listen to all of our previous episodes with Pick a Prospect, might as well go back through it and see what's going on. So that's basically what we're doing here. I put everybody that we've done so far in there. And if you'd like to see any bonus Pick a Prospects on any certain individuals that we didn't cover, hit us up on social media at Sci Squad Pod. And we'd be happy to dive into one of those prospects for you and release another bonus short 5 to 10 minute show on that. Just, because why not? So, Pick a Prospect, bonus edition, all of them coming into once. I hope you enjoy this episode. And thanks for listening, and have a great rest of your weekend, guys. Thank you. Duncan out.
Where every week we will look at, each of us have picked one prospect from this upcoming NFL draft. We're just going to talk about him a little bit. Yeah. Do you want me to start?
Sure, if you want to.
I want to go after you.
I go last.
Oh.
I'm going last.
Oh.
Okay, I can start.
Yeah.
I really wanted to go after you.
Why?
Because we have the same position.
Anyways, I'm going to start. For my first prospect, I picked Antoine Winfield Jr.
Yes, sir.
Out of Minnesota. Ski-U-Ma, obviously. So yeah, he's my prospect. He is a defensive back, more of a safety. Probably going to go into the draft as a safety.
Okay.
He had a pretty good year this last year. He kind of shaky to start his college football career, but like I said, he had a pretty good year this year. He was unanimous first-team All-American. He was first-team All-Big Ten, and he was the Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year this last year. He ended the season with, once I pull up his stats, I have them here. Of course, now it's not going to want to work. Yeah, a really good year, obviously, with Minnesota. Minnesota was kind of a surprise team this last year in college football, up until they weren't. When they choked towards the end of the year. He ended the year with, I think, 7 interceptions is what it was.
Okay.
Oh, I can't find his stats now.
Of course, we break down.
Yeah, of course I do. I've had this pulled up this whole time, too.
Ooh, that makes it even worse.
Yeah, it really does. Because now it's not loading. But yeah, he's kind of a weird prospect going into this draft because I have seen his draft stock kind of random. I've seen anywhere as up until the late first round, but I've also seen him go as far as the third round. So he's a fairly good prospect in this year's draft, but it just kind of all depends on where teams are valuing him in the draft. So obviously players fall, players rise. A couple teams I think could use him depending on what happens. The first one is the Vikings. Obviously they don't know what's going to happen with Anthony Harris. He's going to want a big payday. The Vikings have to start thinking about their future plans now. Right. And obviously, it'd be cool to see, kid out of Minnesota come to Minnesota.
Especially with his dad playing there, too.
Yep, especially with his dad, like the Vikings have. Anton Winfield is probably the best cornerback the Vikings have ever had. Some other teams, possibly, I could see maybe Seattle, because they're lower in the draft. Maybe the Titans, to pair up with Kevin Byard. You have him and Anton Winfield Jr. I think that might be a decent pairing. maybe the Packers, maybe to help solidify that secondary for long-term plans, because obviously they have a lot of young guys they're going to have to pay here soon. So, get Antoine Winfield. San Francisco's another one. The Chiefs could be that team that gets him in the late first round, because obviously their secondary outside of Honey Badger isn't like the best lockdown, So I think he could definitely go to one of those teams in the late rounds, but obviously if a team gets him in the second or third round, it's definitely going to be, I think, could be a huge steal if he falls that far. Because I think he's a great defensive back prospect, so...
I did see here that he did get invited to Combine, so...
Yes, and I think that is what's going to help determine his draft stock. If he has a good Combine, he'll probably be a late first round or the second round, but if he has a bad to average Combine, he'll probably drop to middle second, early third, so... Yeah, Antoine Winfield Jr.
Interesting.
Who's next?
Want me to go next?
Yep.
Okay. I had probably one of the best players in this draft. My guy was Isaiah Simmons. He's a third-year linebacker out of Clemson. If you have been following any mock drafts or anything, he is one of the top prospects, one of the best defensive players in this draft. He's a 6'4", 230-pound linebacker out of Omaha, Nebraska. He was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year 2019. He won the Buckus Award in 2019. He was the first team ACC in 2019. He actually entered college as a safety, and he played his first year at Clemson as a safety, switched to linebacker. He almost declared last year for the NFL draft, but he decided to wait till this year. Some of the stuff on him is amazing. He's a great linebacker. He can pass rush. He can cover. I think any team would be really great to have him. Most mock drafts, I saw him going in the 3rd to 5th pick. Either if the Lions stay there at 3 or the Giants, a lot of them like him at 4. I honestly can't see a team that wouldn't use a linebacker as great as him.
Awesome.
So I have Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver out of Alabama. He was Tua's man before Tua went down, although all of the receivers in Alabama were some pretty high caliber receivers, and Jerry Jeudy's actually known to say that. But a quote from a college football caster.
Okay.
Best route runner in college football. This is from last year.
That is facts.
He runs routes that blow my mind. I was just watching so much game footage over this past week and stuff. Oh my god, his routes are so sharp, it can cut through steel. And on top of that, his other strengths is ball carrier moves. Once he has the ball, he can make a man miss. He plays with high physicality. Not to mention, he is 6'1", 198, so he's quick and tall. I'm not going to say that he's going to be out here as the fastest wide receiver in the league, because obviously that's not going to happen, but he is going to cut up defenses with his route running. And some interesting stats, 2019 he had 1,163 yards, 10 touchdowns in just 13 games. The year before, in 2018, he had 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns in 15 games. That 2-game difference, I feel shows that they're, if you would have had those couple of games, you could have probably repeated those similar stat lines. So I think he's pretty consistent. In 2018, he won the Biletnikoff Award. I'm pretty sure I butchered that, which is given to the best wide receiver in college football. He's a junior. Right now, it's for where he's ranked at in prospect boards and stuff. He's about second in his position to somebody we're going to hear about a little later.
Got him.
But he's 11th in talent overall. I feel basically some of the projected picks for him is I've seen a mock draft where he goes at 15 to the Broncos, a mock draft where he goes 10 to the Raiders, and a mock draft where he goes 13 to the Colts.
You think he's gonna fall that far?
I could see somebody picking him up earlier. I could see somebody picking him up later, honestly. Depending on all of these ones are going to probably differ based off of their combine grades.
Right.
Just because we're talking about, speed kills when it comes to these positions. And if you are slow at all, you're going to get a second look instead of a first look. I think I did that backwards. But so Raiders, Broncos, Colts are obviously some good landing spots. But also I'm going to throw out the Jets, who could be losing Robbie Anderson, could always just use another good receiver. The Patriots, if they could move up, or if he drops.
Gotta get Jared Stidham some help.
Yeah. Jared Stidham can't just only throw it to N'Keal Harry. Another one is the Eagles. Like, Alshon Jeffrey.
Eagles fly.
Alshon Jeffrey is good, but he couldn't stay healthy. Nelson Aguilar was good at one point, but can't catch a ball anymore.
He turned a baby.
He'd be really good with Andy Dalton.
He'd be really good with Andy Dalton. But I think that would be a few good landing spots for him.
All right.
Oh, and other fun fact, me and Jerry Jeudy are, let me think, so 365.
Maths.
We are 357 days apart in age. He is 357 days older than me.
Why didn't you just say he's a little over a year older than you?
Well, his birthday is April 24th, and mine's April 26th. Less than a year.
Okay.
All right, that's my turn.
Shoot him, Noah.
All right. With this, I didn't know. I easily could have just picked Joe Burrow. I love you some quarterbacks. I could have just picked Joe Burrow, and could have just said screw it. I'm gonna go with the guy who I think has the potential to be the best quarterback in this class, who could end up being the best quarterback in this class, and that is Jordan Love, quarterback from Utah State University. He had a bit of a down year this year. Threw for near 3,400 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 17 interceptions. But he had a new head coach. He lost a lot of talent going into his last year at Utah State. Had interest for a little bit to go to Oklahoma, but decided to declare for the draft this year. My thing with Jordan Love is he played in the Mountain West Conference, which isn't a great football conference, but the biggest comparison I'll make to Jordan Love, and it may be, when I say this, I'm not saying he's better than this guy, I'm not saying ever will be better than this guy, but he's very comparable to what I've seen in college up to now, and that is Patrick Mahomes. Jordan Love is a guy who's going to be creative offensively. He's got a great arm. Not as much of a thrower, like as a powerful thrower as Patrick Mahomes, but still's got a great arm. Fairly accurate, but that was Patrick Mahomes' big issue coming out of college was accuracy. But Jordan Love is not afraid to make any of those throws. Not afraid to make any of those throws like Patrick Mahomes. He moves in the pocket a lot like Patrick Mahomes. He's confident in the pocket like Patrick Mahomes. Oh, do you have a question?
I have a quick question. So what conference does he play in?
The Mountain West Conference.
Is that the same conference that Josh Allen from Wyoming?
It is, yes.
Okay, just curious.
Yep, for sure. So another guy who ended up leading his team to the playoffs and, all that stuff. But yeah, so he moves around the pocket well. He's not a run-first quarterback, but he will if he has to. But he's definitely fast enough to do so. In terms of what his success has been in college, sorry guys, I had the link, but I lost it. In terms of what he's done in college, Jordan Love is a second-team All-Mountain West Conference last year, was a New Mexico Bowl MVP. That's really all of his career accomplishments. But you look at what Patrick Mahomes has done in college, he was only a second-team All-Big Ten and then his bowl MVP too. So I don't think, in my regard, I'm not going to look at that. He's got a good frame, 6'4", 225. Probably is going to run a 4.5 at the combine.
Not bad.
Not bad. That's pretty good. It's probably close to Patrick Mahomes those guys are running. So that's kind of my thing. I think he's going to have a really good combine. I think the combine helps players like Jordan Love. It's what helped Patrick Mahomes out a lot. That's what got his stock up to the top 10. And I just want to read off his. He did not start. He's a red shirt. He did not play a lot his first year of eligibility. Only threw for 1,600 yards, but only 235 attempts. His next year in 2018, 64% completion percentage. They're over 3,500 yards, 32 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions. Okay. And like I said, he's accurate with the football. This year I've noticed he had the confidence to feel like he can make throws. I don't want to call him a gunslinger, but he very much is that type of player where he's not going to be afraid to make the throws because he's confident to make those throws. I also am going to blame a little bit on coaching that I don't think utilized him as best as they could have and with the talent that they have. So keep an eye on Jordan Love. We're going to talk about Justin Herbert. We're going to keep an eye on Joe Burrow. But don't sleep on Jordan Love. In terms of where he's going to go, I've seen every draft I've seen, he's been a first-round pick, late first-rounder. In an ideal situation, I think he should either go to New Orleans or New England. Because yes, New England. Because I think you
but
give
Stidham.
no, not Jared Stidham. Because I think if you give Jordan Love a couple of years with Sean Payton, you give a couple, especially when they don't know what Drew Brees is going to do. If you don't know,
they're going with Taysom Hill.
That's what I've seen.
They might go with Taysom Hill, but I think they're going to. I think they're not going to end up doing that. Because if they see Jordan Love fall that far down, they're going to see what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. They're going to see those similarities, and I think that the Saints could be. And that's kind of a lot of mock drafts. I see him going to New Orleans. I could see him going, like I said, getting drafted by New England. They're going to be kind of starting to think about getting quarterback, especially if Tom Brady decides, hey, I'm leaving, guys.
If Tom Brady leaves, we're probably going to end up signing Kirk Cousins or Andy Dalton.
I like that.
Ripskis. But no, they're going to draft Jordan Love. It's going to be okay.
If Jordan Love is really making it to the NFL and wants to play well for his dad.
Yes, that's the news. He's also playing with a huge emotional chip on his shoulder. He's always been a guy who's been kind of undersold. His dad just passed. How long ago was it? 2015. So he's always been playing in honor of him. And he's always just been a guy that's always been undervalued. Wasn't recruited very highly out of high school. Didn't go to a big time college. Went to Utah State. Played well. I think he's a really good quarterback, and I think he's definitely someone people need to consider to be a top quarterback in the draft. So
nice.
Yeah, good stuff.
Jordan Love.
I think he has a chance to be the best QB in this class when it's all said and done.
You heard it from Noah first on the Sci Squad Pod, which you can follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Sci Squad Pod.
Tua Tagovailoa's in this class.
Go Old Spice car.
I'm aware.
We'll get to Tua some week.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe. He has a lot going on, though. He could be either failure or a huge success.
I feel like me and Ethan are talking about this off the air. I feel like with the quarterbacks, outside of Jordan Love, of course, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Tua are either going to be successful right away or they're going to just be pure busts. There's going to be no in between. And I agree with that. Well, except for Tua, because I think Tua's either going to get hurt right away or he's going to be a good quarterback. Right. Or he's going to be injury prone.
Tua will be like could be the Greg Odom story of the NFL.
Right, what could have been had he stayed healthy.
Now, Joe Burrow could be like the... who's a big bust? He could be...
Jamarcus
Russell is a big...
Could be the next Jamarcus Russell. He really could.
Next Johnny Manziel.
I don't know. Manziel just couldn't stay off of that party life.
Right, Joe Burrow. I mean, Joe Burrow likes to have a good time, but
he's a stand-up guy. He likes to smoke cigars after winning national championships.
That's one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life. Like all the memes that came out about were so freaking dope. He would just sit on the chair, just
smoking a cigar.
All right, guys. So we saved the best player for last.
Oh,
all right. We got Ceedee Lamb.
He's a beast.
He is regarded as the best receiver coming into this draft class. Right. He's my pick for best receiver in the draft class. I think, give him 3 years, he will be hands down the best receiver in the league.
Ooh.
He's junior this year at Oklahoma.
Down.
6'2", 191.
You just gotta wait for Larry Fitzgerald to retire.
Wait, do you have a slideshow for us?
I do. You can click on the hyper or the dash.
No, I need to see it.
No, okay.
Well, you can click on the hyper.
All right.
I need to see it.
So he's a junior, right?
Okay. Yeah.
CD, does he make music? No, he's a great football player. Put that in just for Brendan.
Oh my god.
Because Brendan likes dumb jokes. All right, so 2019, he did pretty good. He had a great season. 62 receptions, over 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns, And he averaged 21.4 yards a game, right?
Yep.
Fantastic. I see why you wanted to do that now. All right. So he has a lot of wonderful accolades here. He's All-American, first team All-Big 12, blah, 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 blah. They just go on and on and on and on, right? He's a great player. He has a lot of strengths and not that many weaknesses. So he creates yards after the catch. He gets separation. He's very smooth at running routes. He's patient. He has a high motor. He handles contact very well compared to some other receivers who may not, like when you catch a ball. He can handle it. Some receivers, oh no, I fumbled. But he doesn't do that. He's got good hands. He's good on the release. He's very creative in the way he goes off compared to some other receivers. You'll just see the same way every time. He likes to change it up a lot. And he's dual threat, right? He can do jet sweeps just fine. He can get passes. He has a lot of potential to do different things. A few things that he does struggle on is his run blocking can be inconsistent. He is working on that, and you could see that in the last season. That's something that he's trying to work on. And then he has an inconsistent motor. Sometimes he likes to get all hyped and go right away, and then later he's a little tired. He needs to rest. But that's a lot of players, so it's not something huge to worry about at the moment. So where could he go? So he's projected to go high in the draft, right? But what if he does bad on the combine? Right? So if he does good, he could go to the Cardinals, go to the Jets, the Raiders, or the Broncos. If he doesn't do as good on the combine, people might be hesitant to take him. And so people like Jerry Jeudy or Henry Ruggs could go above him. He could go to the Eagles, the Bills, the Saints, having a second guy with Michael Thomas. The 1-2 best two players in the offense. Or he could go to the Packers.
I wouldn't be mad.
See, really though, he could go to really any team, and I think he'd be successful. He's just that type of player. I think, personally, because I'm a Broncos fan, I think that he's either going to go to the Broncos or he's going to go to our arch nemesis, the Raiders. I think that those are whichever team picks him up first. So if the Raiders don't, I think it'll go be the Broncos. But if the Raiders do, then the Broncos will probably realistically go with Henry Ruggs or Jerry Jeudy.
Broncos trade up in the draft to take the Lions' 5th spot for Ceedee Lamb.
I don't see that happening. But that's a little slideshow on my homie Ceedee Lamb. Next week will be Thaddeus Young.
I'm picking Tyler Johnson next week, even though I won't be here.
You're going to be here. You're not going to be here.
Ooh.
I will find research.
I've not picked a prospect.
You could go live.
I could.
Whenever you want.
I could send a
I wanted to go
clip.
deeper than the first 3 rounds.
He's got 3 weeks to do it. Come on. Okay. So that was this week's Pick a Prospect. Next week we'll have all new prospects for you.
There's so many new segments this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to have some new stuff.
Yeah.
Because
It's time for Pick a Prospect because we were talking about the draft.
Oh yeah.
Alright, I'll go first. This week we have my boy Thaddeus Moss. You may know him as the son of Randy Moss.
Or is Randy Moss the dad of Thaddeus Moss?
I think that Randy Moss is still the son. Or Thaddeus is still the son of Randy.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he's not been in the NFL breaking records yet.
That's true. So Thaddeus Moss is tight end. He's 21 years old. As I mentioned, he's Randy Moss's son, not the other way around. And he set an
Randy Moss isn't his son?
Right. He set the LSU record for a tight end this last year here. And he set another record in the championship game. His season wasn't... It was really good for a tight end on LSU. But it wasn't necessarily
considering when Joe Burrow was your quarterback.
It's not necessarily oh my god, he's the next
Thaddeus Moss,
greatest.
Whoa. He's gonna be just like his dad.
Yeah. I mean they're saying that too anyways, but I don't know if he had 570 yards and 4 touchdowns during the regular season. He did average 12.1 per
he did have a touchdown in the national championship.
I think he had 2.
Did
Because he broke the record for tight end, yeah. The LSU record, anyways.
That's awesome.
But LSU doesn't like tight ends, obviously, is what that's telling me.
Yeah, pretty much. They're not a school much rich in tight end history.
Right. So there's a lot of speculation about him. He should have gone back to LSU for another year, as he was a junior. But he decided he's going to go to the NFL.
Yeah,
Let's see how it works.
If you feel like your stock can't get any higher, then go for it.
So he's 6'3", 249 pounds.
Wow.
He's a
Big
guy.
brick.
Yep.
A brick wall.
You can compare him to Rob Gronkowski if you want.
So Brock is like the same weight, but 3 inches taller.
Yeah.
Dang.
But so some of his strengths is he's a really physical player. He likes physicality.
Yeah.
Some guys pull away from that. He pulls into it. He's like, hit me, or I'm gonna hit you.
Yeah.
He likes it. He's really good with controlling his body. Like whether he's going in, he's toe tipping, or he's just keeping the ball from getting knocked out or something. He's really good at that. I think he's really good at catching, actually, for a tight end especially. But some of his weaknesses, he's not that great at running routes.
Ooh.
So
how's he at blocking?
He's decent at blocking, but he's kind of like spotty at times.
That's tough.
Like he doesn't like. He's kind of like what do you call it? His motor is like inconsistent.
Ooh,
But so that kind of sucks. But I mean, he
also has name value,
right? And as you move on, it might change. He's not as athletic as some would like him to be for the draft.
Yeah.
That's the big thing with all the scouts. This is the athleticism they don't like, but I mean, he's Randy Moss's son. You might as well just draft him anyways. Get a couple extra tickets, but
there you go. And you instantly get Randy Moss's support.
Right, and he's somewhat unknown as you may know his name, but he hasn't done all that much to make him.
Right, like, hey, look at me,
out.
I'm Thaddeus Moss.
Right. Oh, you're Randy Moss's son.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just like as you started out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to change the stigma of, oh, you're Randy's son.
Right. So where is he going? I think he's either going to go to the Patriots, the Bears, or the Seahawks.
Interesting.
Early. If he falls, which he could very easily do at this point, I think that he could go to either the Carolina Panthers or just a shot in the dark, the Colts. I don't think he will go to the Colts, but just like a dark horse team to watch out for because the Colts are kind of like looking at whoever. So, Thaddeus Moss. I do not think he'll go in the first round though.
Yeah.
I think he's a good second, third, maybe fourth round guy.
Okay.
I wouldn't go early second, but if you want to take a shot for him, you might as. If that's really your guy, go for him. But
like if he's one of those things, like if you're sitting in like the fifth round, you're just like, oh,
if he's there, I mean that would be a steal.
Right.
If he's there in the middle of the fifth, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Brendan, can you go next? I have to look up one more thing for my boy.
Sure, I can go next.
Sweet.
I kind of already alluded to the fact that I'd be talking about this individual. But, I gotta find my sheet here. Mr. Shane Lemieux, left guard from Oregon. Which, hey, Noah, that Minnesota-Oregon game, who won?
The Minnesota-Oregon game?
Yeah.
For what? For
like that towards the end of the year?
Minnesota did not win, right?
No, Oregon won.
Oregon won.
Oregon won. Do you know why they won? Because of good blocking. Because that's all that wins football.
Oregon played Minnesota in football this year.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't.
Get talked to.
No.
Oh no, I'm thinking. No, never mind. Oregon played Wisconsin.
Get fact checked, brother.
No, that's what I messed up.
Yep. No,
I got my W's and my M's mixed around.
So they are pretty close to each other. So
I got wow mixed with mom there. That's kind of sad.
Wildness.
Oops.
Wild.
Well, see, you know why I let dumb stuff like that slip out of my mouth now?
Why?
I didn't have somebody as good as Shane Lemieux blocking for me.
I mean, I get
You're
yeah.
so funny.
Oh
my god. Funniest
So,
guy I've ever
anyways,
met right there.
Shane Lemieux is 6'4", 316 pounds.
Big motherfucker.
He could be bigger, but
Big motherfucker.
he plays kind of very athletic.
For-
For his size,
Right.
He does have some zip to him. He is more of a run blocking guard. He had an average grade of 84 on that.
That's a nice B.
Nice B.
Nice B.
He is a later prospect. People see him sitting in that 200 to 220 range. So
Nice. So
You're
he's
talking-
making it, but he's not
it's like what, fifth round?
fifth round yet.
Fifth round. I wanted to be deep. in
He's
my
making
prospect.
it, but he's not.
I wanted to make sure that I was extra deep in my prospects because this guy is somebody that people should know about because I feel like he could,
Right. You think he
With
should be
right-
known about.
with right coaching and stuff, he could be a good asset to any team. And with him going so late,
Right.
the teams that he can go to is kind of endless.
Oh,
He can go to any of the 32 teams.
I see what you did there. Less research for you. Don't go anywhere.
They can go anywhere.
Well, I also have some specific examples that would be good fits for it.
Okay.
But, so in watching tape, the biggest thing he does need to work on is finesse moves. Kind of.
Finesse.
What did you?
Finesse.
What words just came out of
Finesse?
your mouth? Did you really just say finesse like it was
Finesse.
like we wouldn't notice?
Finesse. Finesse, buddy.
I didn't sleep a lot last night.
That's a bad excuse.
I'm tired.
Minnesota and Oregon. Finesse.
Man, Brian, this is I
We're
think
falling
your,
apart,
I think
dude.
your draft stock is dropping about fourth, fifth round right now.
Anyways, where is he going? His finesse.
Well, so his finesse, he can get 8 by the finesse move pretty easily.
All right.
But he does really well in his vision, like when it comes to blocking.
Yeah.
He knows who to pick up, which is, I think, a big skill that a lot of people don't think about. Because, like, all right, we're double teaming this guy. He's been bothering us. That guy just slipped off a different double team. Yeet.
Right.
Pick him up. His pass blocking is solid, but he only had his longest streak was 5 games in a row in which he had above that 80 threshold, which is unfortunate. So you may not want him to more so protect your quarterback, but if you have a really good running game that needs to be broken out, like the New York Giants.
Oh, full circle.
Oh
my goodness.
He would be a good asset. Other teams that I think could use him is Bengals can use anybody at O-line that's better than who they have when they don't have much. Like, honestly, if they could just, like, paint, like, planks of wood with faces on it and have them play O-line, their O-line would be 10 times better.
That's true.
That's how bad Cincinnati's O-line is. So
Not good.
pick up a guy like Shane Lemieux.
You're solid. You're
Solid.
You're
Solid.
cooking.
Shoot, I had one more team. There's blue. Oh my god.
Baby
Well,
shark.
Seattle could always use another piece to that O-line because it still seems pretty thin. I feel like Russell Wilson still is just dancing.
That's right.
So that would be a good spot.
We do have one of the worst offensive lines in the league.
Yep. Cleveland always
Okay.
could use some support for Nick Chubb.
Okay.
So I think that's where I'm at.
What about the Broncos?
Broncos are trying to tank anyways.
Broncos are not trying to tank.
Broncos feel like they can be contender. Like, they can be a sneaky dark horse next
Everybody
year.
thinks the Broncos are the dark horse next year, from what I see.
Oh yeah, Drew. Well, and they're probably going to trade for Stephon Diggs. Yeah. We're on the rumor mill. Get us out for some Drew Lock.
I wouldn't be too mad about that at all.
Stop.
Think about it. Cortland Sutton, Ceedee Lamb, and Stephon Diggs.
Ooh.
Name a better wide receiver trio.
But what are they gonna have to? What are they gonna have to trade to get?
Draft picks. Vikings really need draft picks.
No, that's fair. Never mind. Yeah.
No. Or we could throw Chris Harris out of.
Why would you want to get rid of Chris Harris?
He wants too much money. He wants way too much money.
Yeah.
And the Vikings do like to overpay people.
And they do.
And they need a corner.
They need a DB.
They'd have that veteran presence.
Literally,
think about it.
Made in heaven.
It really is. I hope. Let's talk into existence.
Stephon Diggs to the Broncos.
I like that.
Dang.
Right, but yeah, no. Probably gonna go somewhere in the 5th round. If you watch the whole draft, you'll see him get drafted, and you'll be like, hey. I remember Brendan mentioning that guy.
Talked about that guy.
When he must have been on something because he could not.
Look at those finesse moves.
Oh, that finesse.
The finesse.
Hey, man, I've been dripping in finesse. Have you not seen my outfit today?
The finesse, you're not dripping. You're not even dripping in the fake word of finesse. Finesse.
But you were the one that complimented my outfit today and gave me this fake confidence with my outfit.
Yeah, until you said the word finesse.
Okay, Noah, who do you got here?
Break to cry here.
I've got. I'm gonna keep it local here. I'm gonna keep it with Tyler Johnson, a guy that I was able to watch a lot, so I already kind of know a lot about him.
I like it.
Tyler Johnson, wide receiver from the University of Minnesota, was elected as an All-American this year. Was the Outback Bowl most valuable player. Had a couple touchdown passes in that game. Tyler Johnson has always been a very solid receiver. He is a kind of a built dude. Like he's 200 and I think he's 210 plus pounds. He is 6'2", so he's got some decent size to him. He is an incredible route runner. Honestly, probably one of the better route runners in this draft that no one's really talking about. I think he has the ability to kind of, wherever the ball is, as long as he has his hands near the vicinity, has a chance to go get it. My only concern with him is he is not agile. He's not going to blow you away at the combine. He's not super strong. He's not super quick. So that'll hurt his draft stock just because I don't think he's going to perform that well at the combine just because he's not a freakish athlete. He's just a guy who is capable of just going, getting the ball wherever it is. His route running is going to do so well for him. The problem is, I wonder too in the NFL when you go man coverage and you play press defense, that's where he's also struggled too because he's not quick enough to get that first step on him and try and make a move. He's just going to have to rely on route running, and he has one of the most surefire hands in college. I see him more as a potential second rounder. I see his ceiling is second. His basement's probably fourth. Like, he is a second to fourth round pick. He's going to be one of the top receivers in this class, and that no one's even one of the most underrated players in the draft period. I could see him going to a team like even Denver, who needs a wide receiver. I could see him going to the Jets, who could maybe need a replacement for Robbie Anderson, or just another receiver, or even Jacksonville to give help for Nick Foles or Minshew, whoever they decide to start. I think they're going to need a guy who just is going to be able to create separation, a guy who is going to be able to just catch the football, help their young quarterbacks, whoever that may be. So Tyler Johnson is going to be a sleeper. In a class that's stacked with wide receivers, Tyler Johnson could be one of those guys where he's like, hey, Tyler Johnson's a solid second, third receiver. So
that's hard to watch.
That's going to be tough. So, yeah, prayers out to Ryan Newman.
Yeah. Here.
Prospects?
Picking prospects. So the draft's coming up?
It is. Obviously, the combine's starting this Thursday. We're getting to the point where we're going to see a lot more mock drafts, and we're a month away from the draft. Not quite.
Yeah, basically.
I'm hyped.
I'm hyped. We're going to be doing a mock draft in probably a month.
Yeah. We'll do our own mock draft.
Just the Scottish psychopath.
Anyway, leading up to that, I was going to talk.
Okay.
we're like we've been doing. We're picking prospects, and
Yeah.
Duncan, you can go for a second. Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
You're all good there. All right, so I got Lamar Jackson.
The Lamar Jackson,
Lamar Jackson.
the quarterback from
The Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, that Lamar.
The quarterback from Louisville.
That Lamar Jackson.
What? But he's already drafted.
What?
He already has an MVP under his belt.
Yeah, I would draft him too.
I mean, that is true.
Yes. So Lamar Jackson, right? Not that Lamar Jackson. This Lamar Jackson.
what is
So
he
Lamar is a cornerback
Oh, from Nebraska.
for the Huskers. As you can see by his stats there. Had a hell of a season. 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 30 solo tackles. He's a senior. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. He's a big boy. He's tall as hell. And he's got a lot of rewards there. As you can see, he's defensive MVP of the year for Nebraska. Scholar Athlete of the Year, which means he's a smart guy. So you don't want no dumb guys on your team. We see how that turns out, Johnny Manziel. So, he's got some strengths. He's got some weaknesses. So, first we'll talk about his strengths. He's really tall for a cornerback. He's like half a foot taller than the average cornerback in the NFL. And so, I think that could play to his advantage. He's very athletic for his size as well, which makes it fun to watch him play because he can do things that you don't think he'd be able to do. He's really good at wrapping people up with his long arms. A lot of times you see people and you yell at the TV, just wrap them up. So they're not wrapping them up. Or you watch high school or something. They're not wrapping up. They just keep going. They just touch the guy or whatever. He's really good at that. He's really good at being physical. And actually for a cornerback, he's pretty good at pressuring the quarterback, which you don't necessarily see as much. So some of his weaknesses, he's really tall, man. And that's going to play to his advantage. Shout out to Noah. Thanks for joining us tonight. And he has some troubles on the inside. Since he's so tall, sometimes he has trouble cutting in, like if it's on an in route or whatever. But other than that, he's pretty decent. And so where could he go this year? Where? Where? So he's projected to go in the second day or third day, so second, third, fourth roundish.
I don't see the Rams in there.
Nope, you sure don't. So, first he could go to the Vikings. This is probably the most foreseeable. As you know, they don't have very good corners. They have not Stefon Diggs. What's his name? The really bad one.
Xavier Rhodes.
Rhodes are not closed with Xavier Rhodes. They have Trey Waynes. They
freeway.
Oh my gosh, Brendan! How do you come up with these jokes?
They need somebody, right? And so I think this would be a potential great second day or third day pickup, especially if he falls in the draft. He could go to the Eagles. The Eagles really need help.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs, their defense is decent. They could use another piece. The Colts, the Colts could use a lot of things right now. And so I think having another cornerback in the mix just to shuffle in and out would be good, especially with him not necessarily needing to be a starter right away. Have him have some time to develop, that'd be good. And then if Chris Harris really decides to go to the free agency, then the Broncos are going to need another cornerback. And you know who the Broncos can pick up?
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Odom.
You know where else he could go?
Wait.
The Ravens.
Lamar Odom.
Just there you go.
Hey.
He could go to the Ravens to be with the other Lamar.
Just saying though, I would not call this Lamar Jackson a running back because he's too tall.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's
imagine thinking Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, is still a running back.
only him. Look at this play. Look at this beautiful play right here. All right, here we go. Oh, look at him. Boom! Just
I missed
defending that play.
People listening to the podcast aren't going to know what's going on.
Here's another one. Boom.
No.
Got that pick there. So those are just a couple of his highlights. So make sure that you tune in to our Instagram to find all this lovely content. This has been Duncan's PowerPoint presentation of Lamar Jackson. No, not that Lamar Jackson. this Lamar Jackson. Thank you.
All right.
Marlon.
And we'll be back later.
I.
Okay.
Unless you want to go on here too.
No, I don't have a PowerPoint.
All right, no PowerPoint.
All right, now that's done with. I will go next if you want.
All right.
The prospect I picked is Kenneth Murray. He's a third-year linebacker from Oklahoma. He played the middle linebacker position there for all 3 years. His nickname was K9 because during his 3 years there, Murray played 90.5% of all defensive snaps at Oklahoma.
Jesus.
That's good.
One of his big strengths is his speed. He's really good sideline to sideline. Some people project him to run a 4.4, 4.5 area. Some of his weaknesses is people are worried about him being able to shed blocks and in the run game as much. But any team that can grab him, you're getting a great cover linebacker, somebody who can run with tight ends, who can cover zones. I was reading a couple articles, and a lot of them have an NFL comparison to someone like Thomas Davis. Most people project him to be picked about 15 to 25 mid to late on day one. Some of the teams that could potentially be interested in him are the Broncos and the Falcons at 15 and 16. And it could fall to somewhere the team later like the Eagles, the Packers, or the Chiefs could use another linebacker.
Good stuff.
Nice. What happens if he does bad in the combine?
Then somebody will get a steal in day 2.
Awesome.
Amazing linebacker.
Am I next or is Brendan next?
You're next because Brendan's playing a game on his phone.
I have all that information.
Call out.
It's not like it's the first time if you go back into the archives.
All right. I'm gonna pick someone who was brought to my attention via a good friend of mine, and his name. You guys probably have not heard of him, but his name is Lynn Bowden. Lynn Bowden Jr., wide receiver out of Kentucky. He is listed as a wide receiver, but he's really an athlete because he played quarterback at Kentucky, he played wide receiver, and he was a run threat as well. Lynn Bowden, he is 6'1", 199 pounds. Not a big guy by any means, but the biggest thing we gotta know about Lynn Bowden is he, in my opinion, if he goes to the right team, he can be one of the most versatile athletes in the NFL. He can be one of the best athletes in the NFL. He is insanely fast. He's a great route runner. His hands are pretty good. Can't really get that 50-50 ball because he's just not just freakishly huge. But it's okay because when he catches the ball, he's probably the best yards after catch receiver in college football. Maybe the only one that could be better is Laviska Shenault or Ceedee Lamb. But I think the ability that he has to shed tackles, to make people miss, is unbelievable. If you guys have the chance to watch any Lynn Bowden highlights, you need to do so. His weaknesses, I would just say he's just not a very big guy. He's had some issues with drops, but he's got pretty solid hands, though. Some fits that I think would be the best for him. I think the Jets would be a really good fit for him, although they need a wide receiver. And I think they're going to want someone to maybe just some athlete to kind of give that offense a jump to help out Sam Darnold, and especially if they get rid of Le'Veon Bell. I also think another team that could use him, just because they already run kind of a strange offense as it is the Baltimore Ravens. I think Baltimore not necessarily needs a wide receiver, but with an athlete like that, with Lamar Jackson, if they did like some read option or you do the option Mark Ingram, slant pass to Lynn Bowden and watch him go 60 yards, 70 yards down the field, that would be a deadly combination. And he's just another threat for Lamar Jackson to improve his passing game, and a freakish athlete that with Hollywood Brown and Lynn Bowden, that could be one of the sneakiest, most athletic wide receiver duos in the NFL. And he's not a first rounder, so he's probably going to drop, I would say it's like the third or fourth round. His ceiling is second, but I just don't see it happening. But whichever team does get him, I think they're getting a steal of a player. Who's your athlete?
So, I mentioned earlier that my athlete was the one, the only
Lamar Jackson.
Braden Mann, punter from Texas A&M. Okay. So we've been doing strengths and weaknesses. All right, strengths. Booming of a leg. In his junior year, his longest punt was 82 yards, but man averaged 51 yards per game.
For the
Per
brand
punt.
right there. For the brand.
Yep, the man. And in his senior year here, he didn't quite have the same performance, but he still averaged just under that 50 mark with 47 yards per punt with a long of 68, which is one less yard than Super Bowl record by Johnny Hecker. Fun fact. Former Super Bowl record by Ryan Allen is tied at that 68. But
My boy Johnny Hecker's about to win Super Bowl MVP until he lost.
He still should have won it. He wasn't even a candidate.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
because why would
sad.
you give it to a punter?
I would have. Did
I
you watch
would've.
that Super Bowl?
Trust me, I did.
I would have given it to
I know. I was there.
So, but anyways, the downside with him is he is actually kind of short. He is only
What?
5'11", and the only reason why that's a problem at punter is because if you get somebody fast around the edge and they got that reach on you, you getting blocked.
Over.
But if he can get it off fast enough, boom, gone. He's actually predicted to be drafted as early as the 5th round.
Wow.
He is not projected to be undrafted.
Wow.
His low is mid 7th.
What if he does go undrafted? Will he still have a career in the NFL?
He's a punter, so that's just iffy. Even if he does get drafted, if he had him having a career in the NFL,
Everyone always needs a punter.
Pick a prospect. Brought to you by the Side Squad Podcast, which you can find on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Side Squad Pod. Follow us. We'll give you if you give us a good idea for something, we'll send you some keychains or
we'll send you some merch.
coasters or something. Yeah, it'll be great.
Can I start?
Pick a prospect. Go.
So, my prospect is... I want to make sure I pronounce his first name right. So I'm going to read it. L'Jarius Sneed, right?
Right.
You may be thinking, I only picked him because he got like 3rd or 4th in the 40, right?
I have a question. Is he related to Willie Snead?
No. Because Willie... No, never mind. I'm not going to get into that. But anyways, you'd be correct. So right now on a lot of the like way too early mock drafts that are before the combine, he don't pop up. No. He's from a small school, so that obviously makes it a little bit more difficult for him to get noticed. He is from Louisiana Tech.
They have okay basketball, don't they?
They have okay football too. I mean, they just have an okay school.
Yeah. It's still smaller. Like, it's still smaller than, like...
Pop quiz. Where is Louisiana Tech? I know where it's at.
Is Louisiana.
Where in Louisiana? Damn, Ben, you smart.
It's not in Nolens, is it?
It is not in Nolens.
I
don't
want to
know
say
anywhere else.
it starts with a B.
Is it Baton Rouge?
It is not Baton Rouge.
It's a French word.
It is not.
Dang.
That's a weird place. Is it Ruston, Louisiana?
I thought it was Sharif. Oh, just kidding. I would have been wrong. LOL. I was Sharifport.
So,
Let me double check.
So the stats for Mr. Mans here in 2019, he
Ruston. It's in Ruston.
But wait, is it in Louisiana? Is that right?
Yeah, you're right.
Nice.
It is not.
That is good.
You're 100%.
No, it says L.A. Tech, so they're obviously in Los Angeles.
Oh shit, you're right.
Ah, damn.
I'm sorry for ever doubting you.
so
Whoops.
but no, like so he actually was originally, he's played there all 4 years. He was originally a cornerback for his first 2 seasons and kind of didn't put up super great numbers, but for his last 2 seasons, 2018 and 2019,
Oh my.
Keep going.
he actually posted up 3 interceptions in each season, as well as in his senior season, getting a total tackles of 73, 43 solo, and 30 assisted, with 6 pass deflections, and 68 return yards, and a pick 6. Fun fact, he has a pick 6 in every year except for his sophomore year.
So did he have a sophomore slump then?
You could really easily say that, except he had more tackles than his freshman year.
Man.
But
Close.
he is super fast. That's like the only thing we really know about him besides these stats. And he will get drafted in, I'm going to say it, I think he's going to get drafted in the 6th round.
Ouch.
I think he's going to jump from undrafted free agent to 6th rounder. Like late 6th round.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
yay.
Yeah.
You're making it sound like it was a bad thing.
No.
I just heard 6th round and I was like...
It's controversial because right now he's undrafted. For him to jump all the way to the 6th round.
I mean, you run a good 40 time. When you get in that 6th round, teams will just draft onto physicality. Oh, you're a 6th receiver? Draft.
So, yeah. So, this guy, speaking of 6 foot, he is 6'1", 193. So, he's kind of taller, on the taller side for being that fast, which is good at the defensive position. Obviously, he's not like 6'5" and running that fast because, we can't just...
He's under 200 pounds, so...
Yeah. He's not going to be a hard-hitting safety, but like a coverage safety, there's...
A deep-end guy.
One thing that sets him apart from a lot of safeties is his man coverage is really tight. Like, he's really good. A lot of prospects are thinking if he can impress some people by working special teams backup, he could maybe take on the role of like a nickel corner in the NFL because he has the speed and the kind of sharpness to do it. But I'm just saying, if you hear L'Jarius Sneed getting called, if you're watching the deep draft, don't be surprised.
I will watch the first day and probably most of the second day of draft, but I won't stick around for the third day.
Oh, I do.
I'll turn the arms on, but... Alright, can I go next?
Go for it.
Alright, so the reason I picked this guy is I saw him compared to an NFL athlete. And here's
an NFL great.
An NFL great. His weight, 238. This athlete, 239. He got 6'4" and a half at the combine. This athlete was 6'5". His 40 time was 4.42, and this athlete was 4.4. Who is this athlete? Anyone have any ideas?
I know it is.
Jonathan Ovechkin.
No, his name's actually Calvin Johnson.
I've heard of him.
Heard of him? Yeah, so Chase Claypool had a fantastic combine, putting up stats compared to Calvin Johnson, arguably one of the best receivers to play in the last 10 years.
Arguably one of the best receivers to play all time.
Yeah.
Let alone in the last 10 years.
Anyway, so Chase Claypool is a 4-year receiver out of Notre Dame. He didn't start that much his first 2 years. He really didn't become a full starter until his 3rd year. His final senior year, though, was his big year. He got 1,200 yards, a handful of touchdowns. But the reason he stood out is his combine. So he is taller and heavier than Cameron Wake. He ran faster 40 times than Odell Beckham Jr.
Fast.
He did more reps than Jared Allen on the bench, and he had a higher jump than Julio Jones.
Wow.
I have a higher jump than Julio Jones when I'm
And he had a
jumping
higher
off a
broad
cliff.
and long jump than Devin Hester.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's a pretty good athlete is what you're telling me.
Yeah, he's... Where he lacks as a polished receiver, he gains in those physical attributes. Like I said, he only was a 2-year starter at Notre Dame, so he doesn't have quite the numbers and quite the records as some of these other Ceedee Lamb, all these other high-end receivers. But I think his physicality and his size is going to make him a late first round to mid-early second round. And actually, I think he's a lot like DK Metcalf, who we saw in last year's draft, where he didn't have a lot of, not as much college as some of the other receivers, but his physicals and his attributes and his speed and his size and stuff, that makes up for it. And I think he had an okay year with Seattle.
I think he had a more than okay. I think he was...
Who did? DK?
DK.
Yeah,
I think
DK
he
was really
awesome.
good.
I compared him to DK Metcalf.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And so comparing it back to Calvin Johnson, only 2 wideouts that are taller than 6'4" and weigh more than 235 pounds have ever run a sub 4.5 at the combine, and that was Calvin Johnson and Chase Claypool.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's really good company to be in.
It really is.
That's pretty good company.
Jumps higher than Julio Jones, runs about as fast as Calvin Johnson. So
this guy,
good receivers.
This guy might be the best receiver in the draft that no one's talking about.
I think a lot of the other receivers are a lot more polished than he is and have a lot more college play. Yeah. But I think long term, I think he's going to be a good receiver.
I think there's going to be a lot of good receivers in this draft.
This is a really deep wide receiver draft.
It's deep.
I project him to be a late first to early to mid second. I'm thinking maybe the Chiefs or the 49ers right there at the end of the first round are both teams that could use a big wide receiver like that. Or if he is lucky enough to fall in the second round, there's a lot of people in the early second round that could draft him. If the Browns were to drop the receivers, that could maybe be a good fit. One more thing with him, he does. At the combine, he was asked if he would switch to play tight end instead of playing receiver.
That's how I know who he is.
Just because of his size. He said he would rather play receiver, but he was open to it. I really hope he doesn't play tight end. I hope he stays as a receiver and becomes one of the next really big, really good receivers.
He could do both.
Well, because we are seeing kind of a couple different bigger receivers that you can play. You could play kind of like a Taysom Hill type of.
Well, yeah, like
receiver.
His height and size and weight's comparable to Calvin Johnson, but also comparable to an AJ Green or a Julio Jones, right, where they're a big guy who can run down the field really fast and jump and catch the ball.
Yeah. That's all you need.
That's all you need. And I mean, I think he could be good as Julio. Julio's one of the best receivers in the league. And
the only downside is he can get ran down by Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, I guess he did have a slower time than Isaiah Simmons, but I don't know.
A lot of people did, so it makes sense.
If I was an NFL quarterback and I saw Chase Claypool up one-on-one with Isaiah Simmons, I would probably still a good matchup for Claypool. But
you'd risk it?
Yeah, being a linebacker and a 6'5" wide receiver, yeah.
Well, how tall is Isaiah Simmons again? Isn't he like 5'11" or something like that?
I don't know.
Isn't he normal people size?
Yeah, kind of. But a lot of corners are.
But Isaiah Simmons is a linebacker.
A lot of linebackers are.
That's not true.
Look at Von Miller.
No, Isaiah Simmons is 6'4".
Oh, never mind.
He's not normal people size.
He's not normal people size.
No, because he was 6'4", 240, and ran up sub 4 on the floor.
Yo, maybe Isaiah Simmons should switch to tight end. Just have him out there all the time.
Who's next?
I'll go next. Alrighty, let me stop playing with my action figure collection. Here, I got Mekhi Beckton.
Who?
Mekhi Beckton. You know that guy?
Oh,
that
yeah, just
really fat guy that
ran really fast? Yeah, he had a good combo.
Yeah, I'm like, man, I'm a fat guy. Oh, man, I wish I could run that fast. So that's what I went with. So, he's a junior this year. He was born April 18th, 1999, so 2 days short of a good day to be born. 2 days.
Fun.
2 days after you? 2 days before you?
Wow. He is 363 days older than me.
Okay, there you go. 2 days. Okay. 6'7", so he's a tall guy. Pretty dang tall. And he's 369 pounds.
Damn.
So
big boy.
So who is he? Right. Why does he matter at all? Well, it's because he was fast in the combine.
Well, yeah, that's the theme today.
It's the only reason. It's the combine. So what's he good at? He has a really good reach because obviously he's 6'7". He can reach very far. He's very smooth in transition compared to some of the other offensive linemen in the draft. He easily goes from like this to like this, right? Like linemen do. He has hands, not catching, but he knows where to put his hands, where other times linemen might struggle with that, and that's where a lot of holding and those kind of calls, like if you've ever watched the Broncos and Garrett Bowles, yeah, he's a lot better than Garrett Bowles. And so that's why that's there. He's very, very, very powerful. So obviously that partly comes with his size, but he's also like, he can go.
This is a really deep draft. I mean,
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good linebackers, a lot of good corners.
Players.
I think any team who has a lot of picks in the first 2 rounds are going to get some really good studs.
Do you
And I
think
think
this
this
could
is
be
gonna be-
one of those drafts where it's just like freakish on the talent scale when
Yeah.
you look at like
Yeah.
the whole draft?
Yeah.
I think because what year was it? There was not that long ago. There was a really down draft.
Yeah. It
Well,
was 2017?
2017, 2016, something
Yeah.
like that.
I think this is going to be the complete opposite, where there's going to be one of like
Uh-huh.
we look back at this draft in 20 years and it's like regarded as one of the best.
Well, yeah, if you look back, even, what was the last really good draft? 2014?
That's what I was thinking.
2014 was like Aaron Donald, C.J. Mosley, Khalil Mack, all those fun people in the first round. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of starters coming out of this first round. I think if you mess up with a pick, if you mess up with the first round and pick a bad player, that is on you. Because there's a lot of really good players.
very true. I mean,
There's a lot
obviously
of
there's
really
going to be
good
some
players.
busts because that's just how drafts work.
I really don't think you can go wrong in this first round.
No,
Just
I
picking
don't
somebody
either.
to lose.
If you draft by what like your gut and you know what you want to draft,
I'd hate to be...
And you don't draft Joe Burrow with the first overall pick.
I hate to be some of those teams, just a couple teams that don't have a first round draft pick this year.
Yeah,
I would
because
be
you're,
so
you're
bad for
missing
those
out.
teams because this is such a deep draft.
I'm sorry, Rams.
The Rams, I don't think the Bears do. I don't think.
Oh yeah, this is still a part of the Mitch Trubisky.
Do the Patriots? I don't think. Do the Patriots have a first round draft
Yeah, the
pick?
Patriots have a first round pick.
yeah, they should present JP.
How did they not get it taken away from them?
I know the Rams don't have a first round draft pick, and I know this is a deep draft.
Do you know why the Patriots have a first round draft pick?
Why?
Because their
'Cause we-
cheating was okay this time.
Yeah, the cheating was okay this time around.
They took a sign out of
Because
the,
we beat it out of the
Astros.
Rams in the Super Bowl 2
Yeah.
years
So
ago.
Fuck off.
So 4 teams don't have a first round draft pick: the Bears, the Texans, the Rams, and the Steelers. Which all those teams need a lot of help too. So.
Yeah.
We don't need a lot of help. We just need some tweaking.
Well, you don't have Eric Weddle now, so...
That's fine. Well, we're gonna franchise tag Corey Littleton or Dante Fowler.
Hey, maybe you'll trade for Yannick Ngakoue.
Hey, you already picked up Jalen Ramsey. You might as well just...
I don't know if we have the money to keep Ngakoue.
Just turn the Rams into
Jaguars?
the Los Angeles Jaguars.
There you go.
Boy, I don't
Hey,
even
you
know.
already have the Wildcats in.
We do have Blake Bortles.
There you go. See, it's all slowly...
He might be your starting quarterback next year if things
no.
play out the way that they've been.
Hey, you know.
No chance. Jared Goff will be the start. Again, it's all fun and games. So Jared Goff has a bounce back year when we go 11-5.
Okay, but he needs to be consistent. He can't just bounce.
That's
back
why I said.
every
That's
year.
why I said he's gonna have a bounce back year. Means you have a better year than he did last year. And if Jared Goff has a better year than he did last year, we are a playoff team. Because despite how bad Jared Goff played last year, we went 9-7. We will be fine.
Do you want to know a completely random fact that I just saw?
Sure.
The Packers haven't taken a skill position player since 2005. That was Aaron Rodgers in the
Wow.
first round.
They should really think about doing that this year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They should really think about it this year.
Yeah.
Yo, what if the Packers trade up and draft Tua?
That'd be litty.
That
I would
makes no
love that.
sense.
That'd be so weird.
Packers-
I've actually seen a few mock drafts. I've heard some chitter chatter that
our-
the Packers might go
Our
quarterback.
GM said he's not going to be drafting a quarterback this year.
That's ooh.
That might be cap. You don't know.
I heard that might be cap. I've heard some people like
Maybe
Packers
they'll
are
fire.
looking-
Maybe they'll fire him
Packers
the
are
week
looking at a
before.
quarterback. I'm just saying, looking towards the future.
We actually don't have a backup on our team though, so I could see him drafting somebody. Well, we do have some undrafted guy from last year. I don't know his name.
I don't know.
Maybe the Packers are just being smart though and going after PJ Walker, the best quarterback in the XFL.
I am interested to see how that turns out with all the XFL players.
Yeah,
Because
I feel like some of them definitely deserve NFL jobs. Like I feel like PJ Walker could make a good backup somewhere, or even some of these really struggling teams.
Rams should pick
start.
him up and start him.
there you go.
That's what I think should happen.
But
I'd
back
love
to the
see it.
prospect. Back to the prospect, right? So my guy, Mekhi Beckton, right?
Oh,
Still
yeah.
on him,
Yeah.
I forgot that's what we're talking about.
So he had 23 bench press reps of 225.
That's
Oof.
less than a punter.
Less than
Yeah.
a punter. He's
But
not that
it's okay, it's okay.
strong.
It's a little more than the weight than the punter, though.
No,
So-
punter did his at
Oh, he did
225.
225? Oh, man. But that's okay, because he's fast, remember?
But maybe the punter's fast.
Uh,
I don't know.
But they said that this is common, though, for people with longer arms. So he is 6'7", which means his arms have to go a lot further.
His arms are either 6'7" to 7 feet.
Yeah, so he's got to go further when he goes up and down. Yeah. So, it's okay. But there's even videos circulating online that he can dunk when he plays basketball.
I mean, he's 6'7".
Yeah, but he's a big guy, which means he can jump a little bit.
Well, so he's
6'7" is actually kind of short for like NBA size.
He can dunk, and he's 370
I
pounds.
think 6'7" is a pretty good height for an NBA player. I don't know about you.
It's average actually.
It's around the average. It's Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Durant's 6'9".
He's listed as 6'8", so 6'7". It's close enough.
Hmm.
But, so where's he going to go? Well,
Yeah,
he's
where is he
projected to
gonna
go
go?
into the top 15.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think he's going to go that early.
No, nobody
Is this
did.
updated or
This is after, yeah,
this is
so
after
this
the
is
combine?
like today. A top 15 pick in the draft. So, I think he's going to go to one of those teams. Like, I don't want the Broncos to draft. I want the Broncos to draft a wide receiver. But I could see him going to the Broncos, the Raiders,
Every prospect does. I can see him going to the Broncos.
or the Browns.
Well, the Broncos are sitting in a good spot where they're kind of halfway through the first round, so they really can.
Yeah,
They're either going to pick up somebody good who falls, or they're going to pick somebody pretty decent.
yep. So,
A lot of choice
Yeah.
for early people in the first
Noah.
round.
I have the best offensive lineman in the draft because I only settle for the best.
Mekhi Beckton?
Not Mekhi Beckton, a guy who had a more impressive combine than Mekhi Beckton, a guy who had a better college career.
God, this
Mr.
guy
Fails?
sounds like the worst.
Tristin Wirfs.
Hey, he's
Go
going to the
team.
Browns in
Worfs.
my projection.
Oh, have I been
Offensive
hearing
tackle
it
from
wrong the
Iowa?
whole time?
We're signing him.
It's literally
Our-
WIRFS.
Wirfs.
Oh, it sounds like worst.
But he's the best.
So he's the worst.
Stop it. Already was a projected top 10 pick. Solidified it with his combine. He ran a 4.85 40. He also, which is the fastest among all the linemen. 36.5-inch vertical, which doesn't mean a whole lot for offensive line, but it's still an impressive number. A 7.65 three-cone drill, which is the fifth best among the offensive linemen, which means he can move quick. He has a 34-inch wingspan, which is perfect for an offensive tackle. He weighs what does he weigh here? He's 320 pounds, 6'5", 320. Big dude, can move quick, great against the pass. His weakness is he's not much of a run blocker.
Yeah, I heard that.
Not much of a great run blocker, but based on what my prediction with the team that he's going to go to, he may not need to. And with the NFL, where it's a passing league, he might just do just fine.
Passing a good pass defense is better than
Pass off. Well, yeah, it's the league we live in now. You need to have a quarterback. You need to pass the football. What'd you say? What did you say?
Said who needs a quarterback?
like
Then I started crying because we need a quarterback.
Because the Patriots are done for.
No, we got Jared Stidham.
Oh, that's right, guys. Oh my lord.
You thought Noah.
Dude,
You
just
thought-
like as much shit as we talk about Jared Stidham since I flamed him up and then started talking shit about him, imagine him like actually just amounting to something. Wouldn't that be crazy?
imagine him winning 7 games and then getting cut.
I could imagine that more than being a successful quarterback.
Hey, but just a heads up, in this mock draft, I'm looking at Mekhi Beckton's projected to go 6 to the Chargers.
Whoa,
Holy
that'd
shit.
be...
Forget top 10. He's going top, or 15. He's going top 10.
I don't know if I trust that mock draft, Noah.
Oh, this is post combine.
Really?
Post combine.
So that combine really did help. That's
Combine does wonders for players.
I'm
Make
saying.
a break.
But
Speed's
again,
all that matters.
the two players that did not attend, Joe Burrow and Chase Young, are still 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah.
But here
Mine
is where I
doesn't
think
matter.
Wirfs is gonna, in my opinion, he's gonna go top 5, easily top 10, but definitely top 5. I think he's either gonna go to the Lions or the Giants. I think the Lions should really consider drafting Wirfs. I don't think they're going to, so I think it's gonna be the Giants. They want to build Daniel Jones up.
I think the Giants are going to take Isaiah Simmons.
Really, I think they're going to take Wirfs because I think they're going to want to go all in with Daniel Jones, make it as easy as possible with him. That defense is going to be crappy, but if you can, be an improvement for the offense with the offense, if you can be an improving team with Daniel Jones, who has a lot of potential, showed a lot of upside last year, you just give him protection where it limits his fumbles. Giants might be interesting. And with Saquon Barkley, now that will make things will be interesting because he's not a good run blocker, but he's probably still gonna be better than what they have now. So it's gonna be interesting. But Saquon Barkley is also a very good running back in the pass game. So if you can find ways to use him, it'll be all right. So either way, though, same with the Giants. Again, this is just a draft. I feel like that you just can't go wrong. If you draft Simmons, that's a great pick. If you draft Wirfs, that's a great pick. I cannot wait to watch the draft. I cannot wait.
I'm so excited.
I don't think I've ever been this excited for a draft. Where from 1 to 32 could just be so many different types of players.
What I'm most excited about is watching them come up on a boat.
Yes! Also, one player. If one player does not intentionally fall in, I'm gonna be sad.
Right?
I would just...
Joe Burrow.
If Joe Burrow intentionally just jumps in the water because he doesn't want to play for Cincinnati, I would love that.
I feel like the more likely would be Tua to the Lions. Tua just jumps down, doesn't come back up.
I would love to see Tristin Wirfs just be like, no, guys, I don't want to take the boat. Just, takes off his suit and just starts to swim over. Takes a picture with the gazelle all wet in his swim trunks.
That'd be great.
If this doesn't happen,
I
I'm going to
could
be...
see somebody doing that. So who has personality in this draft?
I'll look into that because I'm going to make a prediction who I would see doing that. If one of these players are listening, please make my day and my draft, my year by doing that. That would be so great.
Goodell may find you, but you'll be instantly thrown into our Hall of Fame.
Oh, instantly. You don't even need a vote.
But hear me out. Where in the NFL rules does it say you cannot jump in the water at the draft?
Goodell
That's
will
true.
Find a way to find it.
Goodell will just add it in.
I bet you some not leaving the stage or not going on stage during the draft is in the rules somewhere.
But you don't have to be present.
That's true. I don't know.
Trevon Diggs. Wait a second, Diggs?
You talking about the Vikings wide receiver,
Yeah,
right?
Stefan's the brother. All right. So he's from Bama. Is where he went. 6'1", 205, kind of normal stuff there, right? He's a good guy though. Look at all those stats. Those are decent stats right there.
What are the stats? Because you have some audio.
Yeah, it's true.
Listener.
So he had 37 tackles, 20 solo, 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles recovered, blah blah blah. But
I forgot he plays in the secondary.
what's his strengths? He's elite.
At what?
His height, weight, and
He's
length.
elite. Okay.
He has above
right, I'm sold.
average agility. He's fluid and athletic. He is good at the press. He has really good skills with his hands, and so going after the ball and stuff. Where he won't necessarily cause pass interference, whereas others might. And he's a pretty decent returner.
What?
Yeah, so he'd be a dual threat.
What?
What's
Right.
his weakness, though?
So he's kind of struggles on the release a little bit.
Ooh.
He's a play first kind of guy, so he wants to make big plays. So sometimes he might give up those little plays.
Which can sometimes be important.
But with that, he also reacts too quickly sometimes. So he'll take this instead of what he should be doing. He's a Jersey Tucker, whatever that means.
Oh, gross. He's a Jersey Tucker.
He got picked on by Jamar Chase of LSU.
That's
That's
his
in
first name.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to do him, but we got very wide receiver heavy.
But if he takes some time here and you develop him, he'll be a great player to have. Not give him this year, give him next year. So he's going to be good. So where is this guy going? I don't know. Well, he could go hang out with his brother in Minnesota. Minnesota did.
They do need a DB.
They need a couple.
And they might pull it off just so they can keep Trevon Diggs there.
Right?
That would be
move.
such a Vikings move.
You go to the Seahawks, they have Shaquille Barrett. Or Shaquille Griffin.
No, we have Shaquille Barrett.
Yeah. Shaquille Griffin. They need another guy there. The secondary was kind of lackluster to begin with. So, to put them right back in there in that good playoff picture, they were a great team this year, but it kind of relied on that offense to just round out that defense if they get back Clowney. If they don't, still have that guy there. The Raiders could really do a lot of things in this draft, and so I think a corner would be a good move for them. The Dolphins kind of need everything. So, if you get the Dolphins just piece by piece by piece, then it would work. The Jags are losing everybody. AJ Boye just left, so might as well replace him with Diggs.
And they lost Jalen Ramsey last
year.
Yep,
they lost Ramsey. The Eagles are another very open team. They could go anywhere. It's just kind of the way it is.
Well, plus they had one of the worst
secondaries in the NFL. The Cowboys, if they lose in Byron Jones, they need a replacement. Just bulk up that defense. Keep Dak. Don't get Dak.
Yep.
Defense wins championships.
Yep.
Bulk up that defense. Wow, look at that. We're behind. Then the 49ers.
Who could be losing Jimmy Smith.
Right.
Or Jimmy Ward, not Jimmy Smith.
Or even not that. Give it a year or two, right? Because he's okay, but he's not fantastic. Let him develop a year under Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman is one of the best-minded corners in the league. If you give a guy time to look under that...
Burnt toast in the Super Bowl.
There you go. So, that is...
Burnt toast.
Trevon Diggs. Wait a second. Diggs? Yeah, that's Stefan's brother.
One of my prospects is Denzel Mims, and I know Noah just mentioned him. Most people are considering him to be either the fifth or the sixth wide receiver. And most people boards, Ruggs, Ceedee Lamb, and Jeudy are the top three. Justin Jefferson is usually four. And then it's either Denzel Mims or T. Higgins at 5. So Denzel Mims is a 4-year wide receiver out of Baylor. He is 6'3", 206 pounds. And I think I've been doing a lot of research and I've been watching his play. One thing that people really like about him is how physical he is, his physicality. I know I was reading one article that compared him to Mike Evans just because of how big he is and how good he is at using his body to catch the ball. And obviously he had a great combine. He ran really fast. He had his last year of college, he had over 12 touchdowns, over 1,100 yards. I think he is going to be the fifth wide receiver off the board. I'm thinking Jefferson's going to go off in the middle of the first round, and I think Denzel Mims is going to be end of the first round kind of guy. Some of the teams I'm maybe thinking for him, maybe the Packers at 30, the Vikings there, or the Saints at the end of that first round could be potential fifths for him.
And I'll throw this out with Denzel Mims, just because I've been doing a lot of film just for my prospects and stuff, just for my 2 podcasts and stuff. Denzel Mims had a really good combine. He helped his stock a lot. He was kind of a flip flop between going first round. Now people are saying he's a guarantee to go first round. And the more those good receivers get taken, those top 5 guys, or even 5 or 6, he's going to go to a team that's going to be not. I hate to say the word desperate because that makes Denzel Mims seem like not a good prospect. But there's going to be a team well, shoot, we need a wide receiver. So Denzel Mims will just fall right into their laps. And he's a very underrated prospect with a class of really good receivers.
And I think so too. And actually, when I first started doing my prospects, I had Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State. And after doing more research, I really like Denzel Mims. And I know it's a little biased, but I really hope the Packers draft him at 30. I hope he's still there.
Yeah.
Does somebody else want to do their first one?
I can go next for my first prospect. So I'm taking a completely different approach to this. Usually I try and do, we try and do under the radar prospects. I'm gonna go for it. I'm just gonna let everyone know why Chase Young is a one, because I'm super high on Chase Young. I personally think he's the best prospect in this entire draft. Like, probably one of the best prospects in the last 5 years. Chase Young is a once-in-a-generational talent. Obviously, he's a fantastic pass rusher, but what makes him great about a defensive end is he is a phenomenal run stopper. And you don't hear that a lot with defensive ends. Like, obviously they're all known as pass rushers. Chase Young was actually, I believe he was third in the team in tackles, and that's including like tackles for loss. That's not even just including sacks. So he is a force to be reckoned with. Obviously he's strong, he's fast, he's athletic. The perfect mold for a defensive end, and there's not a lot of flaws in his game. The only flaws that I would probably use in his game is sometimes, in NFL you talk about just kind of the little details. His would probably be pad level, because there are times where he gets caught, going up too high on a pass rush or all that stuff. But that's because he was just so dominant in college that there was times where he could get away with that. But in the NFL, he's going to get coached up on that, lowering the pad level, finding different ways to get through a pass protection. Other than that, there's not a lot of flaws in his game. I personally think he's the top prospect in the draft. He's probably going to go number 2 to Washington. He will go number 2 to Washington. I think the Redskins are crazy if they do anything other than Chase Young. Put him with Ron Rivera, that's going to be prime. And Washington has talent on defense. Washington has talent on that team. They really, really do. And then getting Chase Young, that's going to elevate everyone on that defense. I really like Chase Young. He's going to be a freak in nature, and he's going to be I think in less than 3 years, he's going to be a top 5 defensive end in football. That is a bold proclamation, but it's a proclamation I will stand by. I think he has the potential to be better than both the Bosa brothers.
But Noah, he's going to go number 1 to the Bengals, right? Like, if you look in our archives for last week.
True. According to our mock draft, the Bengals are going to shock the world, even though that's what I think about the Bengals. The Bengals literally can't go wrong with their first overall pick.
Right, like they're in the best spot. I think anybody in a lot of drafts have been in, they could choose whoever they want, and you could make a justification for it.
Yeah. So, yeah, Chase Young, a beast.
Nice. Well, I'll go next here. And you're talking about Denzel Mims earlier. I'm going to be talking about Justin Jefferson. So, as you guys said, he's probably number 4, number 5 right there. He's right in the mid, I think in the mid to late first round. He's probably known most for being on LSU with Joe Burrow. He's regarded as one of the top 5 receivers in college football last season, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to change to make him like a top 5 in the NFL draft or in the NFL. I think has a lot of really good things about him, but there are things like his route running that he can improve on. Overall, I think he's really good. As you know, his stats were really, really elevated because of having Joe Burrow. 1,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, 111 receptions. But I think that him going to, depending on which team he goes to, I see him as like that mid-upper level tier receiver in a couple of years, like maybe like Julian Edelman or Danny Amendola type of player, where he's not necessarily the top. He's the top guy on the team, but he's not the top guy in like the league. Like he's kind of mid-tier. And the places I expect him to go, I either expect him to go to the Eagles, the Raiders, the Packers, or depending on if he drops to the Broncos or one of those teams like the Cardinals or somebody who has those picks, but it really all depends on where wide receivers are getting drafted, because I don't see him going over CD or over Ruggs or stuff. I think he's definitely that mid-level receiver to go in the late first round, but I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if all of a sudden pick number 11, the receivers are off the board, and all of a sudden they just go with Jefferson because he's there and somebody else isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like Jefferson. I think what stood out to me is just his production last year, 1,500 yards, 111 catches. I think he's going to be a really good catch-all slot guy, somebody who can take it and go. And I agree with you. I think he's going to be a mid to late first-round pick.
Yeah, I would agree. Justin Jefferson is probably the second best route runner in this class, behind only Jerry Jeudy, who is probably obviously the best wide receiver in the class. And she's just got great size. So like if he gets a quarterback like Carson Wentz, like he's gonna get his touches and he's gonna be that guy that they need to go get that 50-50 ball or to just, put it somewhere in his direction. He's gonna find a way to catch it.
I'll go next. All right. My second prospect is going to be the draft steal of 2020. That is my prediction. Patrick Queen is a linebacker from LSU, and I think he's really interesting because in this draft, I've seen so many mock drafts, and I've seen so many different scenarios where some people don't even have him going in the first round. There's so much great talent in this draft. He might fall for the second round, and I truly believe this guy's going to be a day one starter at linebacker. His last season at LSU, he didn't have a lot of tackles, but he's a really good coverage guy, and he's a really good interior middle linebacker. I think he could go to any team that could either use a run stopper or a coverage guy, and I really think he can do it all. I think whatever team lands him, whether it be middle of the first round, I've seen mock drafts as high as him going pick 15 for the Broncos, or if he falls to the middle of the second round, I think he's going to be a draft steal.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about teams that need a run-stopping linebacker. I mean, I know your team fits the build. I know Packers could use a good linebacker. Yeah. He may not have to go too far. He could go to New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans needs another linebacker. He may stay right in his backyard, staying in New Orleans.
I've seen a lot of talk about him going to the Saints. Apparently, that's somewhere he would want to go, and again, it's right in his backyard. I think that'd be the best fit for him. And I think the Saints with Patrick Queen just got a little bit better.
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, I even think if the Packers even got him too, because, I mean, Packers need a linebacker too, so if they can fall to him, in the second round, because where are the Packers sit for second round pick? Do they have just one or two, or?
They just have one, and it's towards the end of the second round.
Okay. But by that point, not a lot of players, not a lot of teams might not need a linebacker.
Yeah, and with this draft being so quarterback heavy, wide receiver heavy, and offensive line heavy, he's somebody who could just slip through the cracks. And I think if somebody can grab him in the second round, he is going to be the draft steal of the 2020.
I'll have to keep an eye out.
Patrick Queen.
Patrick Queen. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out. Am I next?
Yep. Yeah, I believe so.
All right. So I am just gonna tell everyone why Joe Burrow, because there's been a lot. I mean, obviously he's the undisputed number one overall pick, but I know there's a lot of concerns about Joe Burrow. Or not concerns, but if Cincinnati's the right fit. Everyone's talking about his hand size and all that stuff, how he does things good, not great. I've gone back for about this a lot with Joe Burrow and Chase Young. So Joe Burrow, everyone says how he's going to go to Cincinnati and it's just going to be a bad fit. I think it's going to be a great fit not a great fit, but I think it'll be a good fit for Joe Burrow. He's going to get a really, smart offensive coach in Zach Taylor, who's going to fall under that Sean McVay coaching tree. He knows a thing or two. Cincinnati improved in a lot of statistical categories on offense. Joe Burrow, I mean, you saw what he did at LSU. He's insane. He has a good deep ball, not a great deep ball. But he's accurate, but not the most accurate at times. He does, in terms of throwing the ball, he's good, not great. But one thing that I think is going to separate him from the pack is he, first off, is a tough son of a gun. He's going to step into the pocket. He's going to make throws. He's going to maybe throw a few interceptions in his first couple of years because he's just that kind of guy where he's just going to go for it, which I'm okay with. That's one thing that I really wish Aaron Rodgers would do more. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. Sometimes I feel like he doesn't just make those big time, when I say big time, sometimes it's I'm just going to go for it, hope it gets to him. I know, even Drew Brees, I wish he would do that more. Joe Burrow is going to be that guy. He's not scared of anything that comes his way. His pocket awareness is unbelievable. Unbelievable what his pocket awareness is. He is aware of where everyone is on the field while still keeping his eyes downfield. He can move around the pocket. He's going to be like a Patrick Mahomes in terms of he's not going to necessarily run with the football, but he is crafty and shifty enough to where he can move outside the pocket. He's really great at throwing. He's great at throwing on the run. That is one thing he's great at. That's going to do him
great diligence playing for Cincinnati was behind such a bad offensive line. But Jonah Williams, their first-round pick from last year, was injured. He'll come back this year, and presumably that'll just make the offensive line better. And the Bengals get the first pick in the second round. They're going to go tackle in that pick as well, I would assume. So I think Joe Burrow, everything has to fall perfect for him to be successful. Like, I think he isn't going to be a guy like Carson Wentz where he has to be outstanding for the team to be good. Like, he doesn't have to be he can't be the whole team. But I think when he goes to Cincinnati, like, he's going to get AJ Green, he's going to get Joe Mixon, who's a good pass-catching running back. He's going to get John Ross. He's going to get Tyler Boyd. He's going to get a really good receiving core. Offensive line, again, is going to be shaky. But I think with Joe Burrow, he just brings that winner mentality. And I think with great receivers, all those flaws that he may have in the throwing game are going to be figured out. Because, so he's a little inaccurate on the deep ball. Okay, so it's a 50-50 ball. AJ Green's going to go up and get it. Oh, his deep ball isn't that great. Okay, throw a short pass to John Ross and let him cut up field because he has breakaway speed. Those are, and not to say he's bad at those things. He's obviously an insanely good thrower of the football. But I just think Joe Burrow, everything is being underplayed of how he's going to be in Cincinnati. I think he's what that franchise needs. Obviously, he's an Ohio kid. I think it's going to be really good for Cincinnati. I think it's a step in the right direction for what they're going to do, especially with Cincinnati not being a great free agent destination. If they can make those improvements, it's going to be good. The only thing I have an issue of it, too, is he's going to go in a division with insanely good defenses like Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. So that's going to be not exactly a good time, but he's going to have rookie, things. I think there's a lot of things raw in his game, but I think he's going to be a really good quarterback in this league. I think eventually he'll fall in that top. He'll never be a top 5 quarterback, but he'll fall in that top 10 category at some point in his career, I think.
I'm hyped for Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson.
Oh, that's going to be fun. Even that's going to be, those are going to be the 2 quarterbacks that are going to lead the AFC. Like, those 2 could have just a great feud. Obviously, they're going to play each other twice a year, but when it all comes down to it, who knows what Deshaun Watson's. He may not even be in Houston next year. So who knows where he's going to go. So, and then obviously with Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be a lot. Like, there's so much quarterback talent in the NFL right now. It's awesome because it creates such great parity for the NFL, which is why it makes it such a great sport. It's the league of hope. And if Joe Burrow is better than what people expect, Cincinnati's going to find themselves in the playoff hunt, and then they're going to find themselves in great position to be good in the future.
But he's not going to the Bengals. As predicted, He's going to the Chargers. It's in our mock draft.
Oh, my God. If he went to the Chargers, that'd be ridiculous.
It'd be amazing.
If Joe Burrow went to the Chargers win that division. Heck,
I think the Chargers win the Super Bowl, though.
They put them. Yeah, I think they have a good chance. They have a really good chance if the Chargers were to get Joe Burrow. I think they would have an insanely good chance to win the Super Bowl.
You never know what could happen.
True.
We're in a unique time in history where,
right, we're
even the craziest stuff.
Crazy. Things just might happen.
Okay. Well, I'm next here. I chose defensive tackle out of Auburn, Derrick Brown. He is a beast of a player. He's amazing. I think he's gonna be definitely one of the top people in the draft to go. He's not gonna be number 1, 2, or 3, obviously, but I could see him going 5 through. I'd be surprised if he makes it past the middle of the first round, honestly. But you never know with the way this draft is going, exactly. But so he's out of Auburn here. He had 33 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He's just a very aggressive player. He was the unanimous All-American, all SEC first team. He was the defensive player of the year. So he was really just an impact all over. He also won some leadership awards outside of football. So he's more than just a football player, which some of these guys, you just look at them, like Joe Burrow has personality. And I think that's something that you need kind of with the way football's going at the moment. There's a lot of people with personality, and he definitely has a personality that I think will elevate his team in the game. So he's fast, he's strong, and he's a big guy. And not all big guys have all 3 of those. And so I think he is definitely a unique player that's going to be really, really fun to see play, and I think that he'll be a great player anywhere he goes, but I see him going either to the Panthers, the Jags, or the Cardinals in this year's draft.
Yeah, I really like Derrick Brown, and I'm almost positive Derrick Brown's going to go in that 5 to 10 range for draft.
I mean,
hey, thanks for sticking around for this special episode of the Size Squad podcast, where we go through 22 prospects that could potentially be drafted in the 2020 NFL Draft. We're happy we were able to do all this for you guys, and if you have anything at all that you'd like to ask about these prospects that we could answer for you, or if you'd like us to do a prospect that we didn't list, as I said in the beginning of the episode, just shoot us up on social media at Size Squad Pod, and do all that other jazz, like, subscribe, share, all that stuff, to help spread the word of this episode and just help spread the word to some of these players. 22 of them. So we'd be happy to do more. Thanks for joining us, and this has been a bonus episode of the Size Squad podcast. We will see you next Wednesday, as we will release our episode early due to the draft being on Thursday. And then make sure you look out for a reaction show right after the night one of the draft to see our quick and first reactions to everything that happened in the first round. Thanks. And for the Size Squad podcast, this is Duncan. Have a fantastic evening, or day, or morning, or whatever. Just have a fantastic rest of your week.